Okay, there's an absolutely massive amount to say here, and I'm under strict instructions to keep it short and get off. So I'm just going to rattle through this. And I'll tell you why. It's because I spent all my time now thinking about how to win and then what to do with the win, what we do with the victory. There's 5 big tasks, it seems to me, that come out of this. And the first one, only the first one, is winning the referendum. I'm going to come back onto that at the end. But when we win, we've talked a lot about saying this is not just independence for its own sake, but it's for a purpose. Good. That's a clear statement of what we're trying to do, what we're trying to achieve. We've got to back it up with some very clear and very strong thinking about what it is, what are the steps that make that happen. We've got to look beyond a victory to say what are the things that turn a victory of a referendum into the winning of a nation. 4 big things. Some of these have been touched on, but I'm just going to go over them a little bit again. 1, writing a constitution. We have a chance to create a constitution for this country, to write down values and to prescribe the role of the state in relation to the citizen, the role of the state in relation to communities, how we devolve power, how we organise power, and how we use power. This is not going to write itself. If we do not get involved and we do not drive the material that will be contained in this constitution, somebody else will. We may not want to read what they put in that constitution. So we have to think, how do we organise it? How do we come together to write the material that we think makes sense? How do we prepare to ensure that the voices of the people in this room, and I think it's important that the rest of Scotland political classes understand that this is the new centre of gravity of politics in Scotland. There isn't a political party, including the SNP, that can turn these numbers out with this level of enthusiasm, with this level of power. With everything that we've been doing with the Reid Foundation, with Commonweal, this message I think is essential. People assume that you can't win. The left for so long believed it was bound to lose, that we can't do this, that they're against us, that the media is not there. Well, over the last year, and that was one of the things I talked about at this event last year, we need to get better, and we have. We've improved. I like to hope that the Reid Foundation has shown that even with a non-sympathetic media, we are capable of setting agendas simply by articulating what the people want, what people talk about and what they care about. And we need to keep doing that, and we need to do it better. We need to set an agenda, because it is my strong belief that if you take the views in this room and you ally them to the views of the Scottish public, this really is the centre ground of Scottish politics. We are not the radical fringe, and we need to believe that. But I don't get overly hung up in constitutions. Constitutions are important, and a written constitution will be a good thing, but there is no such thing as a politics of autopilot. You can't write a constitution, sit it down on a table and assume that a country is going to run itself. So task number 2 is to make sure that we get off to the right start. The renegotiation of Scotland, the beginning of deciding what are the things that we are going to have to manufacture our nation from. What is the materials from which we will build this Scotland? The negotiations for separation with the UK are absolutely crucial. If we make certain choices, we begin with a certain kind of country. If we make different choices, we begin with another country. Whether that is what military assets we take, whether that is what we do with our share of debt and assets, whether that is a question of where we want to take Scotland's international assets back from the UK. So I strongly agree with, I think it was Reid earlier on, who said Scotland has an enormous potential to build an extremely effective political and trading bloc with groups such as the group of Latin American countries organised as Mercosur. So let's think that through. Where do we want our embassies? Which part of these embassies do we want, and how do we negotiate it? And remember, we are in a position of strength. We, in this room, in here, we own 22 stops on the London Underground. London Underground is national infrastructure. We paid for it because the Londoners believed that national infrastructure meant them. So I propose that we take Westminster, make them walk from Victoria, and perhaps we just take all of the stations within the City of London and just close the place down. Or perhaps we just take a cash value. Because there's a massive, massive asset base there. There is this belief among some people, and put about by the No campaign, that Scotland is going to have to pick up its share of the credit card bill, but England gets to keep the flat screen telly. That's not how it's going to be, and we need to make sure that that's not what happens. I've worked with civil servants almost all of my career, and the belief that the UK civil service, that the Mandarins of Whitehall are so overwhelmingly exceptional that we have no chance of negotiating with them, that they're going to turn us over, is frankly absolutely mad. Let's have a look at what they negotiate. Defence contracts for aircraft carriers, they've got no planes to put on, that run it 10 times over. That's our negotiating opponent. I am not scared. In our trade unions, in our business sector, in our trade unions, in our business sector, in our political sector, in academia in this country, we have the knowledge and the expertise not only to make a very good negotiating stance, but to really nail it home. If we listen to that middle session today, if you listen to Ailsa and Rafi and everybody who was talking about this vision for another Scotland, did that sound like we don't have the capability on our side? Did that sound like we don't have people that know what they want to do? We do know what we want to do, we do know what we need to do, and we can nail this home. But, and I say it again, if we don't do it, do not assume that it will self-organise itself. And then, for me, the two biggest tasks come straight after that. First of all, and I don't think people have thought this through yet, we have to rebuild our institutions. This is an enormously important task. Either we start on the beginning day of a new Scotland and say, this is the tax system that we want. This is the civil service that we want. This is the Foreign Office that we want. And I promised the people of Cumnock when I was speaking there the other day that we'll put the Foreign Office in Cumnock and we can take all of the global dignitaries and make sure that that's where they're visiting. These are decisions, serious decisions that we have to make. Now, this is the most... People say, have you no fear about the independence debate? No, I have no fear that we're capable of doing it. I have no fear that we can win it. I have no fear of these things. There's one fear I have. The only fear I have is that we win this, we take our foot off the accelerator and we breathe out. Because, and this is the thing that you must focus your head on, somebody is going to build this tax system. If it isn't us, it will be KPMG. No, seriously, they will be planning right now. KPMG will have a tender document to devise a tax system which replicates the UK's insane tax system, which is voluntary for the rich and for large corporations. Somebody has to stop them. If it isn't us, who do you imagine it's going to be? We have to organise and make sure that the agenda setting for how we rebuild Scotland, I've been trying to find a word for it, email me, the word that I'm trying to get across here is a kind of Scottish version of perestroika, a process of rebuilding. This will be a new nation. We have to have a process of rebuilding, and that rebuilding must be driven by us, it must include us, and it must bring the people of Scotland in to build this. We do not need the IFS or any other group of experts to come and tell us how to devise these systems. We have the skill if we put ourselves in the place. So we win next year, and I strongly propose that we be back here at the beginning of October in 2014. When we arrived here today, most of us came in as activists. We need to switch our mindset over. By the time we arrive back here in October in 2014, we must walk in that door as the architects of a new nation. We must have worked out where our skills are. No time for clap, my time's too short. We must work out where our skills are. We must work out where our skills aren't. So for example, it is my belief probably that right now in Scotland, we do not have quite enough experts in tax other than tax dodging. We've got quite a lot, we have a very good tax dodging industry. I'm not sure we've got enough expertise here. So we have to start asking, where do we bring it in from? We need to start thinking about this now. So if we have to build a tax system and we don't want KPMG, can we ask Sweden or Denmark or Norway? They've done it, and they've got better tax systems and clearer tax systems and fair tax systems. They have the expertise. I have no doubt they will be willing to work with us. Just as I have absolute certain knowledge from my communications with people outside of Scotland that right across the world there are superstars of intellectual pursuits who want to come and help us. There are really first-rate economists, social policy people right across the board, People who would be fascinated to watch a Commonweal Scotland build itself back up. They've been thinking, they've been writing, they haven't been able to do anything because nobody is creating that new nation. If it's us, we have a global talent network to pull on. We must coordinate, we must think who we want, we must decide what we've got in skills, what we don't have in skills, and how we fill it up. We must become the architects of the new Scotland, or someone else will. And finally, of the 5 tasks, final task which we've got to really focus our minds on is 2016. Now this one will be more difficult for us. That's been a year now, no fallouts among us. That in itself ought to be in the newspapers. But I only say that slightly lightheartedly because one of the most wonderful things about this campaign is how pleasant and how joyous it's been to be on this side. I work with my local campaign, I've been in I don't know how many town halls, and how many places, and I swear to God, I've lost the capacity to work out who's the socialist, who's the green, who's the SNP. It is a collective movement. We are driving towards the same thing, sometimes with different priorities and sometimes in different ways, but this strength is the strongest political unit that there is in Scotland just now, the strongest of any political party. So we have a big question that we have to answer. How do we make sure it happens? I want to see the Greens build up and become stronger. I am absolutely certain that in time Scotland should have a party of the radical left. But this is my take, and this is my view. If we go into 2016 Scottish elections without one mainstream party capable of becoming the government, standing on a Commonweal manifesto, we've done something wrong. We must organise inside, outside and round about the parties. We must identify whether we can get 2 or 3 of the bigger parties to come round to this agenda, or whether we have to find one and twist its arm, twist its ear, pull its hair, whatever we have to do to make sure that that party stands on the manifesto that we want it to stand on. If we don't do that, those political insiders, those political professionals who wander about with their lattes, their sharp, crisp ties, and their books of Obama politics under their hand, wandering around the corridors of power, thinking this has been a great success for them, they will continue to run the show. If it's not us, it will be them. We must think and we must organise. And that's me getting told I'm about to get off. So the last thing that I want to say in this, I said 5 tasks, and we will start assuming that we win. This is the only bit when I'm going to say, don't ever assume we win. This is Scotland. If we're 3-0 up and there's 2 minutes to go, I'm still waiting. It's never done till the ball's in the back of the net. And this is the thing. I'm sitting here looking at 10-year bond yields. I don't really understand it. The return from 10-year bond yields. We're looking at complexities of economic modelling. We're looking at the complexities of how you set up new institutions and all the rest of it. And the Reid Foundation does all of this stuff, and yet, if anyone thinks I'm not going to be putting leaflets through doors and knocking doors and talking to people, you are wrong. There is none of us in this room is too important to get out and to work. This is the year where we do it or we don't. In a year's time, we can come back here and we can have the big thoughts and think the big ideas. We can get together, we can organise. But until then, we do not win this unless we work, unless we knock the doors, unless we, particularly, this is a class conflict, this election. Rich people are voting no. So we've got to get everybody that's not rich out, and that takes work. It's not going to happen through the telly, it's not going to happen through the newspapers, it's going to happen through the knuckles of rapping indoors and saying, do you know what this means to you and are you coming out? If you've not been out, get out. If you've been out, get back out. Work, make this happen, because we can do this thing. We can take a genuine, firm grip on the future of Scotland. There are enough of us in here who know how to do this, and there's enough skill set and talent and enthusiasm and numbers and power behind us to do that. There is a massive power vacuum coming. When the City of London are gone and the British military are gone and the UK civil service are gone from the shores of Scotland, there will be a power vacuum, and that power is here in this room. The place where we'll fill that power gap is us, if we organise. And yet, if we don't work between now and next year, it will go on as was, and we will still be being told what is and isn't possible by London. So that's all I want to say. We'll be here next year, and we will win. And when we do, we're going to come in here, and people who didn't really believe that we could do this, they didn't believe we could do this. Wait until they see what they don't believe we can do next. Because we will come here and we will put this together and we will win back Scotland, and this is going to be the moment that counts.